Welcome to another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I am Atmadarshan, or Laura. I've mentioned previously I've been called many other things in my life, like sensei, or sannyasi, or jigyasu, or hey you, or Linda. That's my sister's name, and my mom would sometimes confuse us. And I'm mentioning all this because there's a fascinating aspect of the Gita, which I don't think many people, unless you're a really serious scholar, appreciate. And that is Krishna's irony when he talks to Arjun. Well, for example, we've been going through chapter 14 about the gunas, tamas, rajas, and sattva. And in verses 4:12, 4:13, and another verse, um, when Krishna is talking about these various elemental forces of nature, he calls Arjun by a nickname. And the nicknames can be illustrative or ironic. And this happens a lot through the Gita. There are some nicknames that Krishna calls Arjun that are just like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. It's driving a point home. So, for example, when talking about sattva, which is the white petunia, the idea of luminous balance and purity, Krishna addresses Arjun as, O sinless one. Sattva is said to be stainless, and this is a totally appropriate sobriquet given the situation. Krishna is trying to show Arjun that Arjun has this fabulous quality within him by calling him, O sinless one. Now, when talking about Rajas, which is my illustrative petunia, it's like the reddish color. If we want to ascribe a color to it, it's passionate activity, restlessness, it can be selfishness. Oh, people who have a lot of rajas want to be highly competitive often. And Krishna addresses Arjun by talking about rajas. When rajas is dominant within us, and then he says to Arjun, O best of your race. He calls Arjun best of your race, which is a highly Rajasic thing because Rajasic people being competitive and they like their egos stroked sometimes because it is a lot about the ego with the selfish motivations. So hearing that, a Rajasic person would go, oh, yes, I am the best. Thank you for noticing. And finally, when we get to Thomas, darkness, ignorance, lethargy, kind of stuckness. Krishna addresses Arjun as joy of your people. That's an ironic one because often when we're stuck in tamas, there's very little joy, and Krishna is addressing Arjun by that particular name. So we've got some appropriate, some ironic, and this, as I mentioned, happens throughout the Gita. Now, how this can apply to your life. We let other people call us by certain things. For example, when we introduce ourselves or when we respond to something. Somebody says, I've had this happen here in the big city, walking down the street, somebody says, hey, not nice word. Hey, you B word, or hey, you this or that. And I choose not to respond because it's interesting the people that do respond, how do they feel about themselves that they'll respond to that? And we let that happen in our lives by letting people call us things, even if we don't like it, we respond to that. But even more important is, what do we call ourselves on the inside with our mental talk? So, as another example, let's bring the petunias back. So, this petunia, when I bought it, its name is Star. It's a star because he's got the points and it's different colors. Now, think if the petunia on its little stick had been named Oops, how did that happen? I probably would have passed. And same thing with this petunia representing Thomas. It's nice and dark. Okay. I was sent to the flower shop and told to get certain colors of petunias, including purple. Well, this petunia is labeled blue. And when I saw the label, I thought, well, I'm supposed to get purple, not blue. But then I looked at other petunias nearby that were labeled purple, and they're the same color. And I thought, I wasn't going to get this because it says it's blue, even though I don't know if you can see it, but it's purple actually, deep purple, dark purple. So, how we choose to label ourselves can contribute to our success, our happiness in the world, to being the joy of our people, to being the best of the race, to being sinless, or we can call ourselves something else that may not help us reach our full potential. As you do your practice today, I invite you to notice what kind of self talk about yourself is going through your mind. Is that helpful? Is that something you want to change? If that's hard, you can also think of what you let other people call you. And is that helpful? And is that something you want to keep or change? Let's begin with a pose. Remember, if you cannot do a standing balance pose for whatever reason, you can do this from sitting or lying down. You'll still get great benefits. Oh, best of your yoga pose choice is. Is that helpful? You're the best chooser. There we go. Switch. Great time for our contemplation. What do you call yourself or allow others to call you? Is that helpful? Or if not, how could it change? Welcome back. Today's practice is dedicated to Amie. Happy day after your birthday, Amie. Oh, producer of inspiring artworks. That's Amie's name for today from me. And also a fond farewell to Freddie, faithful companion, delightful friend. And to all of you, who I will call the joys of my heart, because being with you daily brings me joy. If nobody else calls you that, you are the joy of someone's heart. And I hope we get to spend joyous time together again tomorrow. Until then.